Good morning, afternoon or evening, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys. What is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update coming to you on this smashing Saturday. As always, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to be starting the video off by really reiterating that September is a bad month, but what typically follows is a spectacular month, and it's just a case of surviving September. This has been a very long and drawn-out pullback, and it's really led to a lack of interest in the cryptocurrency space. Yesterday, it was really Bitcoin that bore the brunt of the cryptocurrency market sell-off, and I think this sell-off really came on the back end of a very lackluster and non-definitive non-farm payroll that ultimately didn't give clarity in either which way. So we're going to be covering all of that to start the video off, of course, looking at the Bitcoin chart, also talking about how there is definitely the kind of scope for the cryptocurrency market getting a little bit too excited on the back end of all the institutional involvement with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the other alts that they've mentioned, like Solana. And there's kind of a cooling off of that around a seasonal time, around a post-halving kind of time period for the markets that's all at play. So we will be talking about that. And then we're going to be talking about how the SEC's secrets may be about to be revealed to us in regards to the transcripts or the various sort of interactions that they've had with cryptocurrency companies. As yesterday, Coinbase were granted in part the motion to many of the SEC's files, which is very important. And then we'll be talking about some macro stuff. So, as always, hell of a lot to get into, guys. Let's dive into it. And this is from Rect Capital, somebody who I'm not too familiar with. When Bitcoin retraced minus 7% in September 2024, Bitcoin rallied plus 47% in the following October. When Bitcoin retraced minus 7% in September 2020, Bitcoin rallied 27% in the following October. When Bitcoin retraced 7% in September 2021, Bitcoin rallied 38% in the following October, and Bitcoin is currently down 9% during this September. So we always knew, based on the average returns, how September was going to play out. We're very much seeing it, but what that's ultimately setting us up for is an Uptober and a rocking November, which we do think is to come typically the most bullish months for the cryptocurrency space. And I think that's all going to coincide with Bitcoin finally seeing some upside out of this pattern. And we'll talk about that in just a second. This was a interesting tweet from Peter Brandt. He says the last time Bitcoin closed lower than the present price was February the 25th, 2024. So the start of this year, really when the pullback or after that last kind of hoorah into the high, all-time highs, then we see that pullback. There are two dimensions to drawdowns: price and duration. Prolonged correlation or correction can cause more emotional damage than can a steep correction. And I would certainly say that that is the case. You can see Peter Schiff coming in here, of course, at gold's aid, although Bitcoin has and will continue to perform gold in our opinion. But we think gold is going to do well, which is kind of one way we can drive quite a bullish narrative for Bitcoin generally. So we know the plan technically. In our assessment, this is just a pullback in what is a broader uptrend. This pullback, however, has been a volatile one in the manner that cryptocurrencies typically perform. We've shown you a number of examples of charts that ran into all-time highs, consolidated in a very volatile, descending, pullback-esque fashion before embarking on a broader uptrend. And we think Bitcoin is very much on that similar trajectory. We did a live stream yesterday where we looked at multiple things like positioning small cap stocks. Remember, you had Stan Druckenmiller move from Nvidia down to the IWM, which is a small cap stock basket index. That's a bet on those stocks. And of course, probably more so the macro environment, which is all going to pivot around that Dixie weakness, which we're going to come on to in just a second. But in regards to the kind of environment and general sentiment that the cryptocurrency space is going through, I do think there was an overzealousness, including by myself, in regards to Bitcoin and this cycle. It's done far more than it has in previous in regards to where Bitcoin should currently be round about this time period in relation to the halvings and the cycles. And I think that has everything to do with institutions. And I think that's more bullish than it is bearish. But what we're kind of having from that party is a bit of a hangover. And it's representing itself in regards to this price action, this pullback that we're seeing. However, we do think this is just a pullback. You will correct out of it in much the same way that VanEck Semiconductor ETF did. And you're doing very much what you should be doing around a halving. Certainly going into October. If you look again at the cryptocurrency space yesterday, it was really Bitcoin and Ethereum that bore the brunt of it. And that's really because they have a lot more involvement than the altcoin market generally. It's really kind of symptomatic of a very lackluster market right now. However, in my opinion, now's the time you want to be sort of building those positions ready for what we ultimately think is to come. And before we get onto the legal news, of course, yesterday we covered it in our live stream. You had non-farm payrolls. August payrolls grew by less than expected at 142. I think the expectations were 160,000-ish. But unemployment rate ticked down by 4.2%. The prior one was 4.3, so not massive in either direction. The positive, perhaps, is that you had better non-farm payroll than you did the previous one. However, it was below expectations. Also positive, you lost 0.1 in regards to unemployment, but it's only 0.1. So it was extremely lackluster and didn't give markets that anchorage they needed. You can see the volatility playing out. So you can see the kind of uncertainty in regards to the dollar's daily candle. The news was just lackluster, and I think the markets don't like that. You know, we've spoken a lot about why we're more bullish on the markets in the broader term in regards to the direction the Dixie's going in and what that's going to mean for risk generally. You're going to get those rate cuts. It's all coming to fruition. The thing is, there's always going to be turbulence in regards to getting to your desired destination. And we're seeing the dollar get support. We're seeing uncertainty introduced to the markets. It's all kind of filtering into a continued sort of pullback for Bitcoin and certainly a destruction of the altcoins that have just really capitulated under Bitcoin's weight. However, when you look at the altcoin market, they're very much in that basing accumulation phase. And what comes after that is that upside continuation, which we do believe is on the horizon. Let's talk a little bit about a big win for Coinbase, or certainly a win for the industry at large. An update in our FOIA litigation against the FDIC. Today we filed this notice of anticipated motion. In short, the public is entitled to law to every letter the FDIC sent to any financial institution suggesting that they indefinitely pause crypto-related activities. We appreciate the court's decision. This is obviously the first kind of filing of it all, where they essentially, we ask for the SEC documents about closed investigations to shed lights on how the SEC viewed its newfound sweeping and unlawful authority. It's basically about going for Freedom of Information Act in regards to the SEC and what they've been doing. Today, which was yesterday, Judge Failure ruled from the bench on our motion to compel the SEC to provide key information for the defense of our case. In short, the court ordered the SEC to produce important discovery. I'll share the full transcript when we have it, so you can read it for yourself. In the meantime, we thank the court for the careful consideration. This, of course, it was in part, so there were certain things in regards to Gary Gensler's, I think, personal things that weren't granted, but the SEC's kind of interactions with various parties were. There's going to be a lot of secrets that I believe are going to be revealed in regards to some of the transcripts that ultimately get shared. So, in regards to the cryptocurrency market, guys, it is a lackluster time, unfortunately. Bitcoin crypto has really just been sort of pulling back since March. Going into selling back in St. Leger's Day, and ultimately the altcoin market has just capitulated under that weight. However, these things take time. This is the whole sort of practice of being an investor. You're investing in something for tomorrow. These things don't happen overnight. Ultimately, you are in a broader uptrend in our assessment, in much the way that VanEck Semiconductors was, or Microsoft. Always very volatile. Everything kind of took a bit of a beating yesterday, including the stock market. People are rather worried about stocks. I don't think you need to be. I think this is very common as you get to sort of higher heights in the market. You get an increased volatility. For example, here, people would have been calling much the same thing, only for it to go on significantly higher. Something like Tesla that we're very bullish on got punished yesterday. Really all on the back end, looking at the DAX of non-farm payrolls numbers being extremely indefinitive. There was there's nothing really, in my opinion, to be taken out from it other than, okay, it's not really signaling one thing or another. It's just a case of hanging in there, guys. If you can survive Rectember, you've got Uptober to look forward to. And ultimately, technically, we still remain very bullish on the cryptocurrency markets in more the mid to the broader term. We've just got to get through this lull period. And ultimately, there's going to be lots of news likely that comes on the back end of all that. And of course, that's all technically signaled. So that's it from me, ladies and gents. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you enjoyed the content, like is appreciated. So as a comment. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you in the next.